Alright, so getting a natural selection 2 map ready to be played on is a lot more difficult than I expected it to be, especially when I started. So I'm hoping this tutorial will make it easier for a lot more people who are as unskilled as me to be able to make natural selection 2 maps. So the first thing we need to do, go to this directory, click on Launchpad.exe, it'll bring up the Launchpad window. Click new, make a new mod. We'll call this 32 and the mod name will be 32. So it's creating a new mod called 32. If you click on source, it'll show you where that mod is located. And if you map SC, this is where your map will be when you build it. So we're going to click on the editor. We're going to load the Spark editor. Now, Natural Selection 2 is built in Spark, not Source. So, you're mapping in Spark, not in Hammer, or whatever it's called. So it's going to bring up all sorts of different windows. We're going to close these for now. So, at the bottom, you have your selection boxes. Make sure all these are turned on for now. We have our grid snap, or movement snap, which dictates how big the grid is. And we have our angle snap, or rotation snap for how when we use the rotate tool, where it will snap to. So first things first, from where we do normally spawn, we can drag and we can create a square. Now the square goes out of our camera, so all we have to do is hold right click and use W, A, S, and D to move around. And if we want to move faster, we can use Shift, W, A, S, D while holding right click to move faster. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our square. We're going to hit X to bring up our extrude tool, and we're going to extrude this down. And then we're going to hold right click, WSD, move inside of the box. Now this is a very small box, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the scale tool. We're going to go back out, double click, and just make it bigger. Perfect. We're going to go back inside. We're going to use our rectangle tool. And we're going to make, so first off, we're going to find the line at the bottom so it lights up. And we're going to drag a big box along the wall. It's going to light up blue. This is now a separate face of Geo. So we're going to X. It's going to light we got the big one and the small one. And we're just going to extrude this out. So now we have a room and a hallway. We're going to extrude this again. Off to the side and up. Now we got a room, hallway, another room. They're very, very simple and basic, but they'll do for the purposes of this tutorial. So, what we need to do first off is make it so we can first load the map, because that's what everyone here is for, hopefully. So what you're going to need is a place for both of the teams to have their bases. So where they put their bases, the aliens will put their hive on a tech point, and the Marines will put their command center or command station on a tech point. And then the room is also going to need a resource point for their harvesters and extractors. And the room is going to need a power point so the room has power. Alright, perfect. So now we have a square with entities in it and another square with entities in it. These mean very, very little to the engine. So what we need to do is grab a location entity, and we're going to put one in this room. We're going to use the scale tool, and we're going to make this entity just a little bit larger than the walls. We're going to make it go through the floor, and we're going to make it go way up. So what going way up will do is allow the commander, while he's looking down on the battle, to know which room he is in. I'm going to click on the box, and we're going to hit Control D to duplicate, and we're going to click the blue arrow, or whatever arrow it is, either red or blue, and we're going to make it go to the next room. Why we duplicate and then use a scale is so that there's no gap in between the power. So now we got to figure out names for the entities. For simpleness, this will be where the reens start. Reen, hit enter, click off, make sure it worked. And alien. Enter, click off, make sure it worked. Now, these boxes are really large and very, very ugly to look at. So we're going to hit F7, bring up the layers tab, and we're going to create a new layer. We don't have to call it anything we don't want. We can double click and we can name it. Hit enter. And we're going to add both of these and we're going to hide them. We don't need to see them. This is going to be the marine start. So team number, either team random start, we don't want that. We want marine only random start, hit enter. And this will be alien. Oh, yeah, alien only random start, enter. Perfect. So now NS2 needs the mini-map. So we're going to go into our entity browser and we're going to grab mini-map extents. We're going to place that down and we're going to make this cover the entire playable area of the map. Anything where people will be running around in-game needs to be covered by this. It needs to be nice and tall. We're going to click on it, scale, find the larger of the X and Z, so in this case the Z, and we're going to make the X into the Z. So it's a perfect square. Perfect. And we're going to go and hide the location. So now, while the commander is viewing the battle, we do not want his camera to be about this high off. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our entity browser, we're going to grab a commander camera. Now the commander is going to be viewing the battle from about this high. We're going to give him a little bit more room. So for some maps with huge height variations between rooms, you need a lot of commander cameras, perhaps one for every room, perhaps two for every room, who do you know? And they'll smooth out between them, so you can have as many as you want. Perfect. So, now what we need is the ready room, because you don't want your ready room players spawning into the middle of a map during an actual game. So we're going to bring up this again. Now we have our mini-map sense, which is the big box. We do not want our ready room inside or anywhere near the mini-map. So we're going to go way over here. We're going to build a new box. And there's our new box. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our rectangle and we're going to make 4 squares in the corners. And we're just going to extrude these out a little bit. We're going to go into our entity browser and we're going to grab the team join entity. And we're going to put 4 of them. And all we have to do is make them big enough so you can see where they are. So what these do when a player walks into this entity is they'll be put onto the team that the entity specifies, which we'll get to shortly. So, for example, if we walk into this, we want the player to go to Marine, which is the default, so that's perfect. Now on this side, we want them to go to Alien's team number, Alien, hit enter, and you're good. And then we need a random team join, random, and a spectate. Now, in-game, players won't be able to see these, so we gotta show them what they are. We're gonna go to our prop browser, and we're gonna go spectate. And it's gonna bring up spectate. This is random. And we're gonna throw spectate. We're gonna take the rotate tool, and we're gonna rotate it around so it's facing the right way. Move it up. And we're gonna raise it. And then we're going to do the same thing for random. We're going to rotate it around. And we're going to move it right up and nice and high. This is aliens. And alien is right at the bottom of the alien. And this is Marines. And it's going to be right at the bottom. Perfect. So now, each NS2 map can have 10v10 games in default modes. So what we're going to need is ready room starts for all 20 of those players to load into the game. The spectators don't require anything, they're automatically put in the spectate. So we're going to grab ready room starts. And when people load into the map, this is where they're going to go. It is very important to have enough ready room starts for all the players. So in our case, we're going to have 20 of them for all 20 players in the game. We're going to go hide our locations again because they're in the way. So we're also going to put in our ready room, we're going to put the necessary entities for the Spark engine to know that this is an NS2 map. We put them in the ready room so it's easy for other mappers to find in case the map needs to be edited. So we have the NS2 game rules. This is what makes an NS2 map an NS2 map. This is the brain of NS2. You need one of these. If you have 0, it won't load. If you have more than 1, it'll cause all sorts of funky weird stuff that you will have no clue what's causing it. So only have one of these. Other entities you can put in your map, but you do not need, are the skybox entity. Well, we can ignore that for now because I'm too lazy to find it. So you have your NS2 game rules inside of your map. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our ready room in its own special little hiding place. Create a new layer. It's called ready room, or R. And we're just going to put it all in there and going to hide it. We're going to bring it back for now. So now, in our map, where it's going to need to be lit. So if we click on perspective and textured lit, this is about how bright it's going to be for people in the game, minus all the lines. Perspective, show edges. Yeah, that's not very good. So we need to give people lights. So we have 3 types of lights. We have our point light. We have a spotlight. And we have our ambient light. And Cash made a great tutorial on how all of these lights work. For the purpose of this, we're just going to be using ambient lights because they do our job the easiest. So we're going to take it, we're going to place an ambient light, click on it, and we're just going to make the circle big enough so it covers the room, lights it up, and we're going to change its intensity to 50. Let's make it 100. And then we're going to Control D, duplicate it, and we're going to move another one into the other room. So something to keep in mind is we have our location entities that we placed earlier. Make sure there's 1 light per location entity for now. This just helps so when the power goes out, that light will change from white to red, or whatever color you have it set to red when the power goes out and into emergency. The ready room is also going to need a light. So now the map needs to have pathing to allow the AI bots and sys and all of that fun stuff to be able to move around properly. So click on the big wheel, generate pathing mesh. But we're going to exclude a few layers. And the layers are what we made earlier. We're going to exclude the ready room. The reason is NS2's pathing is finicky enough, and we don't need to confuse it by having pathing where no gameplay is being held. So we're not going to have any pathing inside of the ready room. And we're also going to exclude the location layers. They're not important. And generate pathing mesh. It's going to generate a new layer called pathing, and this is where your pathing will be. And then once you've made sure that it's all connected and all looks somewhat nice, we're just going to go and hide it. Alright. So now what you need to do, file, save, and now we need to go to where the source folder in the Launchpad, so source, where that would go to. So in my case, it'll be in Documents, 32, Source, Map. So remember, we named our mod 32, so it'll be under Documents, the mod name, Source, Map, SRC. This is where your map will go, and your file name. So I'll call this NS2 underscore is the default for an NS2 map, and we'll call this blue. And we'll hit save. Try to keep it in undercase so it fits with all the other NS2 maps. Just a little bit nicer that way. And we're going to close out of the editor. So now we need our Launchpad again, and open up your mod. So make sure in source, map, you have your map within that folder. And we're going to use the builder. The builder is a send from God. It is amazing. Build, build. And just wait. This tool is absolutely fantastic. Build complete. Perfect. We're going to close the builder, and we're going to go to our system tray, and we're going to exit the builder. And now we're going to launch our game. So this will launch NS2 with your mod or your map included into the launch. We're going to play server browsers, or not server browser, start listen server, map, and we're going to go down to our map. So in this case blue, and start server. And we're going to wait for the map to load. You can hit the key above tab to open up your things. And it's going to have a few errors the first time you load it. Apparently it's not supposed to do that, but I'm just really, really bad at this, so it does anyways, but it all works. So now we're in our ready room. If you hit C, you can open your map. Because the map is so small, the minimap's going to be huge. We have a marine join, alien join, random, and spectate. So if we hop into Marines, we're going to go to the Marine room. Now, because the map is so small, the Marine start is so close to the Hive that the Hive will infest and start to kill the Marine base. That is fine. We have a working map. So to start your game, key above tab, cheats 1, and I'll start the game.
Let's move out.
The mining station is going to spawn an infantry portal. The resource tower and the power node will be built. In the alien base, the power node will not be built, but it's going to spawn a harvester and the hive. So just like a normal NS2 game, kill all the buildings and take out the power. So if I turn damage to 99, I can kill the power node. What this is going to do is going to make this ambient light to go dark. So you can see the power has gone out in this room. And as we wait, the power will eventually go back into emergency mode and light up nice and red. And just like a normal NS2 game, aliens will spawn their eggs and have the hive, and then Marines will spawn here. So if I go to be a skulk, the alien base works properly. I have a hive, I can see in the top left where my hive room is located and what room I'm in. And the minimap's going to show me where my eggs are on the map. If I click E on the commander, because we have the commander camera set up, I can see the map around me. Use aid assist, it all works because the pathing is, working. And of course I can spec my hive to do all that different stuff. So, I really do hope that this helped. And that you are able to create some awesome NS2 maps that, quite as simple as this, they just work. It just works. Yeah, famous last words. And of course, if one team runs out of their base, if we didn't have cheats, the other team would have won.